My friends, welcome. The goal of this video and my new buyer request series is to help people become better at responding to buyer requests. And maybe most importantly, I'm hoping that with these breakdowns, I can help you learn how to spot red flags that could point out potentially bad buyer requests that you might not want to respond to. The types of buyer requests that might result in 1-star ratings, canceled orders, or just real nightmare buyers to work with. So yeah, really hope this breakdown helps you have the confidence and skills required to win some buyer requests for yourself. Let's get into it. So as always, here's the request, and you'll notice I blurred out the username and any identifying information on the request because ultimately this series is not about roasting the buyer submitting this request. It's just about breaking it down, spotting red flags that you might want to avoid, and thinking about some strategy you might be able to implement if you want to respond to a similar type of buyer request. So this particular request is searching for a social media creative director to help create scripts for motivational Instagram posts. So the first thing I want to point out before we go any further is we got to look into and think about that title they mentioned. Social media creative director. That's a pretty big title. Social media creative director, but the budget is $20. So that's kind of the first part of this one that's kind of making my spidey sense start to tingle. Not going to make any assumptions yet, but the two just don't align. Social media creative director is a title that implies a lot of responsibility, and $20 is a budget and a price point that implies no expectation of quality or just a misunderstanding of what that title actually should represent. The request then goes to explain that these type of Instagram videos they make are motivational and meant to showcase and highlight problems that all people face. And that sounds straightforward enough. They run an Instagram account, and on that Instagram account, they create motivational content. Cool. But here's where things get a little interesting for me. For this particular buyer request, the job is to create 30 video scripts, each script intended to be about 120 seconds long. Then it goes on to list a series of very general topics. And then they go on to say that this job will go on every month, so there will always be work. So I'm going to start with the red flags here. So after reading this request, it seems like this person is trying to basically outsource the hardest aspects of running a content creation business. The part where you have to actually think of good content ideas and the part where you actually have to write the scripts for your content ideas. And honestly, I have no real problem with people trying to automate and outsource their businesses. I really don't. The thing that does make me skeptical about ever wanting to work with this type of a client is basically just the lack of guidance or specifics surrounding this request. They basically want you to come up with the video ideas and the scripts totally from scratch. It's all on you. And they're paying you 66 cents each. It's nothing. But even if that 66 cents per script was enough for you, the lack of guidance and specifics really makes me worry about the potential for revision requests. At 30 scripts for 120-second videos each, at 66 cents a piece, there's not much wiggle room in my mind for an ROI to be there if you do have to do a revision. Imagine they want you to revise all 30. You're basically redoing the whole project, and if they're giving you this project every month, 30 scripts with no guidance, that leaves a huge gap in potential understanding that could lead to a lot of revisions, and that's a huge red flag for me. So that's red flag number one. The lack of clarity and guidance in this request. Personally, I probably wouldn't respond to this request for that reason alone. However, this could be a great request for someone just starting out. And if you're thinking about responding to requests like this one, what I would do is clearly specify in the buyer request or in the proposal that there are no revisions included in this price, given the nature of the request. Super low cost, super little guidance, and quite a bit of work. So I would specify no revisions if I was going to respond to this request. But on the flip side, something that could be a potential positive thing for an opportunistic Fiverr seller is just based on the lack of guidance and detail in this request, and based on my assumptions on what this type of buyer might be like, I would bucket them into that get rich quick type of entrepreneur. they probably don't really care about this Instagram account. Because if they did care about this Instagram account, I really doubt they'd be farming out content creation on a huge scale with very little direction at such a low price point. So if I were to make an assumption about who this person is, it's someone who's trying to build this Instagram account with minimal work from themselves, hoping to get it to the point where they amass a pretty sizable following that they could do something with, maybe market or sell sponsored posts to. I'd bet you that based on the fact that they're outsourcing the scripting for these videos, they might even outsource the recording, video editing, and presentation of these videos too. It could be a totally on autopilot operation. And where the potential positive in that lies for an opportunistic Fiverr seller is that their bar or their expectation of quality is probably pretty low. A, because of their, assumed lack of commitment to this business, and B, just based on the fact that they're outsourcing everything, they probably don't really have that good of a handle on what they should be looking for when it comes to quality on this massive scale of outsourcing production. So this might be a good opportunity for a newer Fiverr seller to bang out a couple months worth of orders with this buyer, accumulate a bunch of 5-star ratings. You're only making 20 bucks a pop for quite a bit of work, but it's your start. You start there, you do 5-6 months worth of orders for them, assuming they're just gonna mark them complete, give them 5 stars, move on and order the next month. If they are that person who's putting this business on autopilot, that could be an opportunity for you to bang out a handful of orders over a handful of months, really low cost, but you could be farming some early 5-star ratings for yourself, which might be a great thing for you. So what do you think about this buyer request? Is this something that you would personally respond to? Do you agree that the things I identified as red flags are actually red flags? And do you agree that this is a potential silver lining situation where if this buyer is the buyer who really doesn't care about this account, is trying to go the lazy route, the get rich quick route to making money, do you think this could be a good opportunity to accumulate some early reviews and make some money as a new Fiverr seller? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you think about this deconstructing buyer request video series. I'm planning on doing a bunch more for you all if you find them helpful. So thanks a lot for watching. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. I chat and tweet there quite often. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, cheers.